Well, hello, hello, hello. I am Stacy Hawkins Adams, and I am so happy to be here with you today. I'm bringing you greetings from Richmond, Virginia, where we are preparing for Still We Rise, celebrating the power of women's stories. You may ask, what is this? This is an occasional event that I host where I invite women to come and share their stories with me on stage, and I will have the pleasure of having Bern Nadette Stanis, known to many of you all as Thelma, on stage with me tomorrow, October 22nd, 2022. Yeah. But we could not bring Thelma, aka Bern Nadette, or the other way around.
No, it's okay.
To Richmond without having a fuller conversation with her. When she's on stage tomorrow, she and I will join a lineup of other women, and we will be sharing brief snippets of our personal story. But I thought that we wanted to have a fuller conversation with Bern Nadette about her journey, whatever she'd like to tell us about how she has learned on how to celebrate the power of her own story, maybe a lesson or two along the way to inspire the young ladies, the young people, the men who are watching, and really just help us to get to know who Bern Nadette is. So welcome, Bern Nadette.
Oh, hi. Welcome. Thank you for welcoming me. I'm Bern Nadette Stanis, born Bern Nadette Stanislas, and my name was cut down to Stanis by Esther Roll. She did that because it was too long to go on the credits. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and the eldest of 5 children. So I learned to be a second mom, to my brothers and sisters. And I just remember growing up in Brownsville and learning to focus. We were told to focus on goals and be determined, because the neighborhood was not a very good neighborhood, but we did walk 10 blocks to Catholic school. So I went to Catholic school. And my dad always said to us, what's around you does not have to be in you. And he kind of raised us that way. And, he held us to high standards. I mean, education was his major thing. So he spent money on our schooling and our extra things that we wanted to do, like dance. My brothers wanted to play guitars. They were singers, things like that. So they were into the culture. My mother, I was just telling a friend the other day that my mom, although we didn't have a lot of money, my mother would always take us in the summertime to Manhattan, and we would walk around in Manhattan. She would show us a lot of things as children. We always went to all the museums, Museum of Natural History, the Art Museum. She was a woman of culture. She loved culture. And they spent their money on us. And of course, I'm sure they could have taken their money and bought a home somewhere, and but they wanted to invest in their children, and that's exactly what they did. And Brownsville afforded us the ability to do that. So I was a dancer. My grandmother put me in dance class at age 5 because I was dancing all the time. Still dancing. Anyway, and so that was one of the stories. I learned a lot of lessons living there. I learned about determination. I learned about striving to become better than just accepting where we were at the time. I was a babysitter at 9. I forgot to tell you that.
I was too. Yes, I'm like, maybe they thought we were wise, but
I think they did. But I was babysitting my 2 brothers at 9 years old, and one was 6 and one was 3. And my mother raised us on the telephone in the summer. I'm telling you, she was working, and I had a schedule. In the morning I'd get them up. My mother would bathe them at night. In the morning I'd get them up, feed them breakfast.
Wow.
Then we go. I iron their clothes.
You did all of that.
I did all that at 9, and then I would take them downstairs. So about 10:30 we'd go downstairs and we'd play. So around 1:00 I bring them back up, and I call my mom and say, "Mom, we're up." Then we have lunch. Okay, we stayed upstairs until about 2:30, 3, or whatever, and then I take them back downstairs and we play some more. and then my mom would come home. She got off at 5, and we would meet her at the train station at 5:30. So that went on for the whole summer. So I was so very proud of myself at 9 years old.
Yeah.
I was a babysitter.
I think you were a better babysitter than I was. I was just babysitting some neighborhood kids for a couple of hours.
Oh, really?
You were really
I did
a
the whole
caretaker.
day. Well, I did the whole day. I said, "Mom, I think I can do it. I can help you out." You always want went to help my mom. So I did that, and I was very proud of that. And so let me see. After that, I did go to Erasmus Hall High School, graduated there. I went to Juilliard, studied there.
Well, let's talk about that. So how did you get to Juilliard? So you said you loved dancing. It was discovered at 5. Were your parents putting you in dance classes?
Oh, my grandmother put me in dance class. It was tap and ballet. And she said to my mother, I got her in dance class, and I want you to keep her in dance class. And dancing was my world. I mean, I never really hung out outside. I mean, we would go outside and things. We never hung out in the neighborhood or anything like that. My father was not going to allow that. And dancing was my thing. It was like stretching and attaining this and attaining that. And it was so wonderful because I met this teacher named Mrs. Sloan. And she was in my high school, and she thought I was so very talented, and she gave me so much encouragement. I do believe that as young people, if you have a teacher or a mentor that believes in you and encourages you, sometimes you can't see what they can see. And she just kept after me, and it gave me pride. It gave me, I can do this. And so her sons were at Juilliard. And they were taking music, and they were very, very good, I guess. Juilliard is the best. But she got another young lady into Juilliard for ballet. But I was a modern jazz dancer and a tap dancer. So I did audition for the ballet. I was okay, but I didn't make the ballet. So my mother said, you're going to go back to Juilliard and audition for acting. I went, I am? She said, yes, because you're a good actress, and you're going to audition for acting. And if they don't take you, you just have to change your name because they're going to take you.
Your mom. Okay, mom.
Juilliard May was something else. So I said, oh, okay. So then I went and did the application, and I auditioned for the acting department. Now, I was already, not in the ballet department, so I was not nervous. I saw...
You were like, okay, I
did this already. So all the kids were lined up, biting their nails, and it was like, and so it was my turn to go in. I just walked past them, went in, and went, oh, hello, I'm Bern Nadette Stanis, and I'm going to do Taming of the Shrew and Beneath It from Raisin in the Sun. But before that, my mother hired this Shakespearean actor to come to the house to work with me on my 2 pieces.
Wow.
So I was ready. And I remember what I had on. I had a little black dress on with some little bubble sleeves, and of course the mini skirts, and the little panties to match the mini skirts. Because she always had the panties to match the mini skirts. Okay, somebody could see under there. Anyway, I had that, and I came in, hi, and I did my little thing, and then I said thank you, and I walked out. I was not even a little bit nervous. It was amazing.
Wow.
So it was like early, June or whatever I auditioned, and I didn't hear anything back for a while. So I remember my mother called me. She said, Bernadette, I think you should call them and see if you got accepted. So it was in August. And I went to a payphone, because, back then we had payphones. So I went to the payphone, put my little dime in there, and then, was it a quarter?
It was a dime then.
It was a dime. Ding, ling, 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 ling. So I called Juilliard, and I said, can you tell me if I was accepted to the theater program? And what's your name? My name is Bern Nadette Stanis. So they looked, and they said, yes, you're accepted. I said, I'm accepted?
What? You had to call?
I had to call. Wow. They didn't give me a note, but they was not going to tell me. So anyway, I called my mom. I said, Mom, we made it. That was like the biggest thrill in the world.
Wow.
So I went to Juilliard, and there were 34 students. There were 4 Black students, and all the rest were Caucasian. 2 black girls and 2 black guys. And so I went there, and that was amazing. That whole system, that was great. Anyway, I had a chance to be in a beauty pageant. And you're not supposed to do anything like, audition or anything like that at Juilliard. So I begged my mom to be in a beauty pageant that summer, and she said, okay. So I was in a beauty pageant. Anyway, I got a letter. I got a note. No, I got a card from a manager. He gave it to my mom.
Who was at the beauty pageant?
At the beauty pageant. I was going to tell that story tomorrow, but
okay, you still
but
can tell it
yeah.
'Cause this audience will not probably have been here.
Okay,
so, yeah.
And so they wanted me to audition for CBS for a show that they were having, and thought that I would be perfect for the daughter. So I said, okay. So I was kind of scared because you're not supposed to be like audition at that time. So anyway, I went up there and we auditioned. It was thousands of girls in there. I'm like, you know what? These people need to stop. Anyway, I sat there and I said, okay. So when they called me, but before that, I kept saying, all these people, I'm not going to get it. I kept thinking negative like that. And then I thought what my father would say all the time. He says, let me tell you something. What's for you is for you, and nobody can take it away from you. So I kept saying that to myself. It's for me, it's for me, it's for me, it's for me. So anyway, I had my little courage, and I went in there, and when I went in there, it was Norman Lee and Jimmy Walker standing there. And then I walked over and they gave me the sheet of paper that had all the lines and everything, but they were so pedantic. When I say that, I mean these were lines that a girl from the ghetto would never say. So I knew somebody, an old Caucasian man wrote that. I'm like, what is that? They don't say that. So I said, can I please improvise? And they said, okay, improvise. So I just took Jimmy. I said, look, brother, let me tell you something. You better help clean up this house before mommy gets home. You know that? And he's like looking at me like, what? And I'm like, boy, you better do it. And he's like, what? You know, like so crazy. I had Norman cracking up. So that was our audition. I didn't hear anything for about a month. Then they asked us to come to California, which I did. Then we came back to New York, and then they asked me to go back again. I did, and that's when I did it with. It was only 4 girls at this time, and that's when I auditioned with them. And I didn't hear anything back. And around Christmas time, which is my birthday anyway, December 22nd, so it was my birthday present. And they said that I got it.
Wow!
I called my mommy and said I got it.
Well, what I love about that story is, first of all, you did something you wanted to do, which was the beauty pageant, even though Juilliard sounds like they kind of frowned on that.
Well, they didn't frown on
They didn't frown on it?
They didn't want you to audition for anything.
Oh, which was what you ended up doing. I got you.
Yeah.
Once you got the card, yeah. So you auditioned, although they may not have wanted you to. And then you get there and you see all the girls and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to stand out? But then you remember the positivity. And then you get up and you're like, I need to do it my own way. So
because I couldn't do it that way.
You brought your authentic self.
Yes.
But also the other piece too is, I think, patience, because like you didn't get the answer right away and you had to go back to California.
Well, I had forgotten it, you know, and I was kind of glad I had forgotten it because, you know, I wasn't supposed to do it anyway.
Right, exactly.
I was like, okay, well, fine, I tried. But then I got it. And then I had to go to
Yes, what happened?
Yeah, so
you were in school. How many years had you been at Juilliard?
2.
You've been, okay.
So then I had to go there and tell the director that I did something I shouldn't have done, which they loved me and I loved them too. They were just wonderful with me. And so I said, Margot Harley was her name. I said, Miss Margot Harley, I did something I shouldn't have done. I auditioned for a show and I got it. It's for a pilot. And she said, you did? I said, yes. I said, oh, Lord, here we go. And she says, wonderful, darling, wonderful. She said, so when you go out there, if you get it, wonderful. But if you don't, you can come back to Juilliard, but you have to repeat a year. I said, oh, yes. I was so happy they were mad at me and said you could never come back because I didn't know. You know, I was young and everything was young. So anyway, I did. I never went back. But I did go back to get my degree. So I have my degree.
How long after did you go back and get your degree?
After Juilliard. I mean, after the times I went back.
And that aired for how many years?
5.
Wow.
Okay. But, you know, they didn't give me trouble. They just let me get my degree.
Right.
You know,
yeah, of course. You had proven that you had chops at that point.
Yeah.
So
they were very happy for me.
So you go out, okay, I got this pilot. This pilot turns into this show. What do you think struck a chord with America? Why do you think that show took off the way it did?
It took off because we had a wonderful leader. Okay, Norman was an excellent producer at the time. I mean, he was everything the man touched turned to gold. But they didn't think this was going to turn to gold. But they had Esther Roll, and she's gold, period.
Yes.
You know what I mean? She was a wonderful actress. She had the morals, the essence, the knowledge, the wisdom of so much. And so when it was time for her to be the mother, unfortunately, they didn't want a dad.
Really? They didn't want a James Evans?
They didn't want a James Evans.
What?
They didn't want a dad. They wanted her to have just 3 children by herself. And she said, oh, no. She said, I want to show that America, that African-American women have husbands and children. And we're in our family. We have that, too. Because I did.
Right.
You know,
right.
she did.
Right.
A lot of people did. So she said, now, if you want an actress who wants to do it with just the children, then you'll have to get another actress.
Wow, good.
That's
for
how strong
her.
she was.
Oh my goodness.
And so she actually got what she wanted. Norman loved her. And so he gave her, and he said, who would you like? And she said, John Amos.
Oh, wow. So she handpicked him.
She handpicked him.
This is like amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
she handpicked him, and they were excellent together.
Yes.
And when I first met them, I walked on the set, and John and Esther and Jimmy and Ralph Carter, who
Was that
a-
Michael?
Michael, who was already a star on Broadway at
Was
the
he? 'Cause
time.
I just know
he
I
was
had
in
to-
Raisin in the Sun.
So my son, I told you, at 5 years old, watching reruns, had a crush on you. I had a crush
5
on
years old.
He was fine. He came downstairs one day, Mommy, I'm watching this show. Can I marry someone like that?
Oh, that
I
is
was like,
too cute.
Yes, sweetheart, you can.
Oh,
but
did he?
well, no, because you're married already.
Did he marry somebody like
He's
me?
21.
He's 21. That's so
He has
cute.
a nice young lady, a nice girlfriend.
Oh, that's good.
So, but I had a crush on Michael.
No,
all my friends
really?
did. Yes, Michael was the man.
And he was so smart and still is.
Is he?
Genius. And so I met them, and then I met Willona, and Esther embraced me right away. What I loved about her is that she helped everyone. She helped the writers on the show. She helped the wardrobe lady. In fact, Adela Farmer was our wardrobe lady, and she helped her to get the job. She helped her, and it was Adela. She just passed away 2 Sundays ago, and last Sunday I went to her celebration.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
her son was in the Lakers Farmer.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jordan Farmer.
Wow,
That was
okay.
her grandson.
Okay.
So anyway, I went to her celebration, and she was the one who literally created that look of Thelma
Really?
with the
Wow.
clothes.
Yes.
Because the tight pants and the tight shirt and that was not in style. Let me tell you something. They were
It
wearing
became
baggy
style.
clothes. They took me to the store, and I had these baggy jeans, and the shirts were all big. And I said, I was so worried about the angles because you see this and that.
Right.
If you don't turn the right way, you can look like a big old box. So I'm
Right.
like, oh no, I can't do this. And I'm a dancer, so all my clothes had to be
Right.
tight. I like tight clothes because it makes me feel secure. So I went to Adela and I said, Adela, I can't wear these clothes. They make me feel awful. And she said, well, I'm going to fix that for you. And she sewed those pants down to my knees,
Wow.
made the bell bottom. The shirt was tight. She hooked me up. Thank you, Adela. She created that style.
Oh, wow.
Yes, she did.
And everyone followed it.
Yeah,
So
later.
you
And
and
everybody
Adela.
is following it,
Exactly. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So when you and I were having a conversation as we were planning for you to come to Richmond and to this event, you told me that one of your brothers told you that you were born to be Thelma. What does that mean to you, to be Thelma? Because yes, your name is Bernadette and you're beautiful as Bernadette, but so many people know you as Thelma from Good Times. So what does that mean to be Thelma?
It's amazing because when I was growing up, I wanted to make my parents proud because I knew it was hard for them. And I wanted to do the right thing. And then I had 2 parents who were so engaged in their children. And we always had something to do. They knew if we were leaving school at 3, we would be here at 4. If we were leaving here at 4, we'd be at dance class at 5. I mean, they knew where everyone was. So it was very difficult, especially as the eldest child, to try to do anything tricky.
Right, they were.
I had nobody ahead of me to teach me, so I'm like, okay, I better just do it
I have to
right.
toe
I
the
can't
line.
fight these 2. So I wanted to just do the thing right. I just did it right. So I wanted to be a good girl, and my mom stressed being a good girl. Back then, way back then, good girls meant you don't do anything till you're married. The whole thing. Really. So I did it all right because I just didn't want to do it wrong. And so I did everything right, and I tried to do this, and I listened to my mom, she said, she said, you're going to go to acting school. I said, okay, we're going to acting school. Everything they wanted to do, I did it. I had my own ways about me, and my father was very strong, and he, I remember one time, I was walking in the street, and a bunch of boys were hitting on me and everything like that. And today you can't do that. And my daddy was so bold. He says to those guys, let me tell you something. When you see her walking on this side of the street, you move over. You don't walk on the side of the street she's walking on. I was like, oh my God, Dad, what are you doing? That's how he was. He was just like that. But that's the kind of man.
You were the only girl? I know you mentioned you're the oldest.
I was the oldest.
You were the oldest.
Then I had two brothers.
And
then I had a sister.
Okay.
And then I had another sister.
Okay.
So, I'm older than them. But, as time went on, they became older than me.
In what ways?
In age.
Oh, I love it. So in your mind, you are what age? See, I tell people all the time. My mind, I'm 32.
Yeah.
But then my body reminds me, no, there's
you
a half century thing. Oh,
no, but you look 32. But
there's a whole half century thing going on.
Being an actress, right? I thought I could lie about everything, so I lied about my age. So my brothers and sisters start getting older than me. I'm younger than you. Well, don't be saying that you're the oldest. I'm not gonna say I'm the oldest, but I do. And then one time it was so cute because my little nephew Jacques said to his father, "Mom, one day I'm gonna be older than Aunt Bern."
You had everybody in the family trained.
Of course. But who cares what age you are? You are what you feel the way you feel,
That's
Some
so
people
true.
I've met so much younger than me, they act so much older. And I met so many people older than me that act younger than me.
Right.
So, it depends on how you feel about yourself. That's
true.
how I live it. And what was I going to say?
I forgot, but I was going to ask you, post Good Time. I think. We were talking about Thelma. What does it mean to you to be Thelma?
Thelma.
Good Time, and then the life after being Thelma.
Okay.
What
it meant to me to be Thelma.
Do people still call you Thelma? I'm sure they do.
Yes, they do. And my brother said I was born to be Thelma because he grew up with me and he knew how I was, and I was like that. I wanted everything to be right. I was a peaceful maker. I was trying to do, and he says, Bernadette, nobody else could have been Thelma but you.
Aw,
I was like Thelma.
You really, the character,
Yeah.
they thought they were creating a character, but you really made the character.
Well, let me tell you something else. When I first got on the show, they didn't know what to do with me because I was the first black female teenager ever on television.
Ever on television?
Ever on television.
Wow.
So nobody knew what to do with me or write for me. So Esther Roll said to them to go up to the office and you tell them who this character is.
Wow. So you are Thelma.
Yes.
You created Thelma.
Yes. And I went up there and I told them who she was and her ambitions and stuff like that. And that's how they began to write for me.
So were her ambitions yours? Because she was a dancer.
Dancer.
So basically you gave her your ambitions in some ways.
And a writer.
Are you a writer? That's right.
Remember she wrote the little plays?
She did.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And I wanted to be a doctor. But I really did want to be a doctor. Good Times came in and interrupted that.
Really? So you were thinking doctor when your mom said, let's go to acting school? Or tell us a little bit.
So, I said always wanted to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I always wanted that. Because I believe in the mind. I love the mind. I was reading Sigmund Freud when I was 12.
Really? Wow.
Yes. The id,
the
and all that, the ego, the id. And I loved it. And so that didn't quite work out because I was going to go to Hunter College.
Oh, you had it all planned.
I had it all planned. And then in Good Time, Juilliard came, so whatever. So I became an actress, but I write. Writing helps me to do the psychology thing, because I still love people. I still love to help people, and I'm doing that now.
Yes, you are. And let's talk a little bit about that. We'll shift gears a little bit. So your first book, this is how I met you. I know you meet so many people, but this is
I remember your face.
Thank you. 2007, I believe it was, at the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah.
And your book, Situations 101.
Yeah.
This is when we were both in the Authors Pavilion,
Yeah.
and I fangirled, and then I had you on a Blog Talk radio, which was a predecessor to podcast. For those who don't know what Blog Talk is. But so tell me, was that your first book?
That was
what
my
led
first
you
book.
to write that book?
Well, what led me to write that book was because after Good Times, I did a lot of plays, and I met a lot of people along the way. And a lot of people call me and tell me their problems, and they're in different states. So of course they could tell me all about their people because I never met their people.
Right. So then you're like, they're okay. I'm not really gossiping.
No. They're telling me, and I'm telling them an advice and stuff like that. But I can never meet their people, so I can never tell their business. Okay. so they felt good. So I started hearing the same stories over and over wherever I went. And it hit me one time, and he said, you know what? A lot of people are going through this. Maybe I should write about it. So I wrote about a lot of the situations that I had heard, but with a different twist to it. I would never put their information in there or anything like that. So I wrote it differently, but I wanted to write the issue that people were going through. People were going through a lot of different things that were very similar. And when I wrote the book 101, that's what I did. I wrote 101 different little situations and then my little opinion about it. But I didn't care about the opinion as much as I did the issue, so that you could be, because everybody got their own opinion.
Right.
So that's how I wrote it. And
you're not the only one going through this, for one thing.
Right. And I'm not a doctor. And I said, if it gets heavier, then go see someone. Because I'm just the person that's telling a story.
But that's amazing. So it does make people feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this if I can tell this story. Now,
some people said, you were like a fly on the wall.
I love it. Maybe that's the title of a future book.
Okay.
So is the book out now, the caregiving book? Is this your second book, the book that you most recently wrote about your mother, taking care of your mom?
Yes, it's the recent book, but I wrote one in between that called Finances.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Situations 101, Finances, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was trying to write a series of 101s, but then after the finance book, Mommy got sick, and so I couldn't continue, and then I wrote the book about her. The finance book came about because after I was touring with the relationship book, and I did a lot of seminars and talking to people, I realized that finances was a very big part of relationships, and how you deal with money. A lot of times people broke up because of money. A lot of people didn't understand the relationship with their own money.
Right.
And they didn't like other people spending their money. Or vice versa. So money became a big issue in a relationship, and that's what I started talking about. How do you feel about your money, and how are you two going to deal with your money issue in your relationship?
Right. I love that. When did that one come out?
It came out about 3 years after the
first one. Awesome. And then when did the Alzheimer's book, the book about your mom,
came out? It came out
2017, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Because she passed in 2011, and I literally could not write the book until 5 years later.
Wow. Yeah, the grief process. So tell us the title of that book, and tell us maybe what the book is about.
Okay. It's called The Last Night. An Alzheimer's. It's a caregiver's journey through transition and beyond.
So tell us why the and beyond. And of course, my condolences, first of all. My mom passed in 2005, so I know what that journey is like.
Yeah.
Although everyone's grief journey is different. So it's interesting that the title and beyond.
And beyond. Transition and beyond. Well, I talk about the whole Alzheimer's thing, and I talk about my caregiving, I talk about the situation. I also talk about transition, the night she passed away, and what that was to me. And like the beyond is something that I saw in that moment, and I literally could see my mother seeing God and the beyond, and I know she went to him.
Aww.
And my life after that.
Wow.
And what she would want for me. And it's so funny because I was listening to a program the other night, and it was talking about how a lot of people don't understand that I do believe, and it happened during and after, that you're still connected to the spirit of the person. And I believe that there's a very thin wall between the physical body and the spirit body. So a lot of times people are able to connect with the spirit, and I did with my mom for a while until I got afraid. I would smell a perfume, and I knew she was around me.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know, but some people will understand that. And one time it came very strong, and I got afraid, and she never came back. Not like that.
Wow. So I'm sure just in touring, sharing this book with people, you've met other people on their own grief journeys, and I guess what words of comfort do you give people when they share whether the Alzheimer's journey, because it's almost like a double loss in a way. The novel I'm writing this novel, a mid-novel, and the main character's mother has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So she's grieving the mother she knew while the mother's still alive, and then, of course, when your mom passes away. So it's almost like losing her twice.
Well, it's a lot to it. You're losing your parent, and then you're mourning the whole time. You're mourning the death of your parent, not the death, but the losing of the parent. But then you're gaining another type of relationship. The relationship is sometimes you become her mother, and sometimes she calls you mommy.
Aww.
And sometimes you have to recognize, oh my God, this is my. And then the teenage age. My mother went to about 14, so I had to relate to her on issues that when she was young.
Wow.
So it changes you. The whole thing changes you. It's a painful thing, but if you want them to have a good life while they're here, go where they go. Go where they go. It's a childlike type of thing, but you never treat them that way. You still give them the respect of your mother, of the mother. Like my mother wanted to get dressed up every single day, so every single morning I got her up,
Aww.
I gave her a bath, and I combed her hair, and I put a lipstick on, and a powder on, and I dressed her up.
Aww.
Every day.
Wow.
So that was
8 years.
I did it for 8 years. And I would do it for 8 more if I had a chance.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because I wanted her to live a good life. And she was happy when she got dressed up. And she wore red lipstick. And she had to have shine on the lips. And I'm like, wait a minute, Mommy. You never in your life, ever. She would hardly wear a little beige lipstick. And I said to my brother, the one who said I was born to be Thelma, I said, he's a pastor. I said, Kyle, why is Mommy wearing red lipstick, and she loves those put fake earrings on, the long the ear. I said, what is all that? He said, that is who she really is. I said, get out of here. He said, that is who she really is. So I'm like, oh my God, was she really like that? My mother, we never saw that.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we're going to wrap this up because I don't want to keep you here forever, although I could, because this is a wonderful conversation. But are there any parting words to your fans, to the folks that are watching us today in regard to anything about your journey that you want to share, or any inspiration for their story?
Well, I want you to know that life hits every single one of us, no matter what profession that you're in. Because I'm an actress and the people know me, life was not any more easier for me than it is for anyone else. I went through very hard times, and I went through very good times. But I also want you to know that you have to have something that glues you together in this lifetime. For me, it was believing in God. I believe very heavily in Him. I also understand that things do happen in life, and I never gave up on God. I always knew that He had a reason for everything. And the reason I felt that He had for my mother, I didn't know about my dad, but the reason I felt that He had for my mother was that she was afraid of knowing that she was going to die. She was a scary lady. So Alzheimer's, she never knew. She just knew she was happy every single day. So I said, okay, God, I'll accept that.
Oh, wow, that's powerful. And just for clarity, I know you and I talked about your dad passing away suddenly under sad circumstances, and so, yeah.
Yeah, my father was murdered. And I think that's what triggered the Alzheimer's in my mother.
The grief of that. Yeah, wow. Well, I so appreciate you being here, for sharing your story. You are a jewel, and like I said, I could talk to you all day. So for our viewers, if you have enjoyed this, please share this interview with others. But also check her out on BET Plus.
Oh, yes.
She is now acting again.
I'm on the show BET Plus, the Family Business, and I play Nee Nee Duncan. I'm in the 4th season, and they're looking at another season, so I'm the sneaky little Nee Nee Duncan baby.
Julliard-trained to Thelma to Nee Nee Duncan. Thank you, Bern Nadette. Wonderful to be here with you. Thank you all for watching.